Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and in this episode I'm going to be breaking down why everything you've heard around deal packaging is completely wrong. So welcome back to the channel, and in this episode what I wanted to break down is exactly what you can do to build a six-figure deal packaging business. And it's probably not the norm that you heard before, and frankly I've heard a lot of opinions on how you develop this out and I strongly disagree. Well, Jamie, why are you in a position to disagree with others? Well, I've got a deal packaging business that does over 7 figures every single year, and I've been doing this now for the better part of a decade. So how do we get started? Well, the way that we jump in straight away isn't what most people think. It's actually area analysis. So before we do anything, we want to understand what our area, or what makes our area a good area to invest in. And really what we want to be doing is breaking down 3 things. You want to write this down. Number 1, what strategy are we actually going to implement? Is it going to be buy to let, BRR, buy, refurbish, refinance, service accommodation, rent to rent, commercial conversion, lease options, assisted sales, exchange delayed completion? All of those, there's so many strategies, and if you try to do them all, you'll end up doing none of them. And what you want to be known as in your area is the go-to person for insert strategy in insert area, okay? And if you spread yourself too thin, you'll be the jack of all trades and master of sweet FA. The next thing we need to understand is the demographics in the area. Now, there's 2 massive ways or favorite ways of doing this. Number 1 is Street Check. The reason I like Street Check is it's completely free. Go ahead and check it out. And if you want to spend a bit of money to get something so much more accurate, I really strongly suggest you go over to Property Data, and we'll put a link below. That will be an affiliate link. So I will get paid something if you end up signing up, but it's really cheap. I think it's something like 14 quid a month, and it gives you everything you need within that. The next thing you need from that is understanding the criteria that you're going to move forward with. Now, my recommendation with criteria is actually make it something that's manageable in the first place. People talk about, oh yeah, I'll go out there and find 20% return on capital deals. It's like, do they exist? Sure, number 1 depends on the location, the arse end of nowhere usually. Number 2, I always ask, well, how many of those are you actually doing? And it's usually only 2 or 3 a year. Now, when we're in this hot market right now, and we're filming this on the 9th of July, and so the market's pretty hot from a vendor perspective, i.e. they're selling at crazy prices right now. So trying to get that is really quite, not impossible, but improbable. And instead of focusing on getting those insane deals, the unicorn deals, focus on getting good deals on a more regular basis. Linking in with that, the second thing is we want to link in criteria with the price range. Now, not many people talk about this, but the number 1 thing I like doing deals of is return on capital employed, ROCE, i.e. what is the return on the cash invested in the deal. People talk about yield. I'm not a massive fan of it. I want to know, how's my cash working for me? And the reason I like it is it's as simple as, if I had that cash in my bank, what would I get? And now that I've got it in this property, what will I get? And there's a direct comparable or comparison metric. So what I like doing to make sure that this is actually going to line up is I'll actually go out there and search the rental returns. And all I really need to know is if there's a net rental return after all of the cost, what yearly return am I going to get on the cash that's put in? And say I've got a minimum criteria of 8% return on capital employed, which is what I find for my investors or my Aspire Property Group product on a hands-free sourcing service, then I will look at what prices an average property needs to be in order to do that. Now, the reason I'm going to do that is, let's say I work out the property price over here and I can pay 120,000, but I end up doing some research on what's online with Rightmove, which is really just a taster. And let's say the ones on Rightmove, these are the reality ones over here, they're all 210,000. Then realistically, what are the chances of me getting many properties that's going to meet that criteria? Next to none. So before I go out there and pitch that I can deliver this, I'm going to relook at my numbers and make it more manageable to what I can genuinely provide as value for my future clients. So the next thing is find properties. No, it's not. Okay, see, that's the crap that most people tell you. Find a good property and it will sell itself. And apparently that's what they sound like, right? That's just bullshit. Now, what you need to understand is what actually makes a good deal in the first place. So people will come to me and go, Jamie, I've got loads of deals, just haven't got investors to buy them. And so, well, you don't have a bloody deal then. A property isn't a deal unless you have criteria. And how do you get criteria? You need investors. So what I want you to do is just forget, if anyone's ever told you that, forget it. Instead, let's flip it around, and what we're going to do is we're going to focus on, you guessed it, investors. We're going to focus on investors. We're going to communicate with them, understand their requirement, and I like to call this a needs analysis. A needs analysis is simply where they're at right now, where they want to get to, what have they tried getting from A to B that hasn't worked for them before, what resources do they have available, and then put forward the proposal of how I can help them. Now, my key recommendation with this is to sell the service and not the property. If you're going to go out there and pitch the property each time to an investor, there's so many unknowns. What if they don't like it because it's a corner plot? What if they don't like it because it's a 3-bed instead of a 2-bed? What if they don't like it, the fact it needs a bit of work or it's got a bit of damp? All they should care about is the numbers that matter to them. So I like to focus on the service we're delivering, and our charge is kind of irrelevant to the property because they are getting a return. We will only put properties in front of our investors that reach that 8%. By the way, if you've got 100 grand or more and you want to invest in property and you're happy with an 8% return, put APG in the comments right now and we'll have a discussion. So, once we've sold this service around that, everything's about what I deliver. Let me give you an analogy. If you do your weekly shop, I don't know where you shop, let's say Sainsbury's, and it costs you £100 a week, right? You're going to go shopping, get it and come back. If I said to you, hey, just tell me what you want, I'll go shopping for you, and then I'll bring it back and put it in your fridge. That's a service, right? You might go, yeah, cool, I'll pay you £10 a week for that, you know, for each shop that you do. Okay, cool. You don't go to me, that's fine, Jamie. I will pay you £10, but you need to get £10 off the property in that case, right? It's just like, well, no, you wouldn't do that. Now, let's go to the extreme. Let's say I've invested in my education. I've got some mentors, some chefs that have trained me over the time. So much so I specialize as a nutritionist. So you're going to tell me what macros and micros you want. We're going to work them out together, and what your allergies are, what food you like. And on a weekly basis, I'm gonna go shopping with a £100 budget. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna cook it up, and then all your engagement is in the evening, it is put on a plate for you and put in front of you for you to eat. Pretty cool service, right? You'd expect to pay me a bit more money. You don't go, okay, that's a great service, you need to get that off. And it's the same with deal sourcing. If you're going out there, appreciate the value you're bringing in the time impact, not just the discount from a property. Imagine a stockbroker going, I've got a great stock for you. And you go, cool, what are your fees? 2%. Yeah, I don't want to pay you. Take it off negotiate with the company to reduce their stock price by 2%. It doesn't happen like that. So value yourself and the service that you're providing your investors. At this point, and only at this point, would I go out there and get compliant. A lot of people talk about compliance as a deal packager as if you need to be compliant from day one. The reality is you don't. It's when you're exchanging that service for financial aspect. So I probably get to the point where I'm sending agreements to investors and they're in a position where they're saying, yeah, I want to move forward. At that point, I would start getting compliance in place. Caveat to that, if there's one form of compliance I would definitely get straight away, it's your data protection with the ICO, Information Commissioner's Office. It costs something like £35 for, I think it's per year, maybe for 3 years, but you need data protection in general. You're then going to need anti-money laundering with the HMRC, public indemnity, private indemnity, and some basic insurances as a business. And of course, you're going to need your property ombudsman or an ombudsman. Now, you could do the property redress scheme, but they've changed a lot recently. My personal recommendation is the TPO, the Property Ombudsman Service. And as long as you've got those in place, you are now fully compliant and ready to get moving forward and making money from the deal packaging service. Next thing is you are becoming a matchmaker. Now, the great thing about this is if you've already sold your investors on that return on capital employed that you're able to move forward with, then that's going to be a really powerful opportunity. So that you know when you're putting forward these properties, they are directly relating to the return on capital that you're actually able to deliver in the first place. So when you're putting forward this property, it shouldn't be a hard sell at all. It should just be, hey, great news, I've found one. And what I like thinking of myself within this, and you might want to write this down, is I like to think of myself as a personal shopper for my investors. Now, some of you might go, oh, I don't want to be seen as that. Well, you do you. I'm absolutely fine saying, hey, I'm a personal shopper for you. I'm going out and finding a product and service that matches your criteria that we can move forward with. And that's a really powerful way of selling. So you're actually selling the service, not trying to sell each individual properties with all of these differences within it. So next two things I want to break down is one, everything you must be doing, and two, how much money can you actually make from this? So here's a quick tip. Marketing. What I want you to write down right now is that marketing is the lifeblood of every business. Once you've got this process set up, it all just becomes about how many people you can come through. Now, when any mentee of mine comes to me, because obviously I do education, they say, hey, I'm not getting enough sales, I'll be saying one of two things. How many conversations have you been having and how many leads have you been getting in? Because I know this structure works, and obviously there's scripts in the middle, criteria, spreadsheets and things like that. But if you follow the process, it works. So as long as you're spending money on marketing or investing in marketing, that's going to bring in your leads. You talk to the leads and you'll get 1 in 5, 1 in 10, whatever your conversion is that you develop over the time. But marketing is the lifeblood of every business. So how much money can you make? Now I want to measure expectations on this because there's a lot of people out there, mainly course sellers to be fair, and look, don't get me wrong, I also sell courses, just I like to sell the reality rather than some pipe dream that maybe you're not going to be able to deliver on. So those people going, you can quit your job in a month or two, it's bullshit. You're not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry to be the one, but any strategy is just not going to happen. You still have the legal process to go through. So just measuring your expectations, I would expect to throw yourself at this, and obviously the speed will be dependent on, are you just looking at free education like this and hopefully it's adding value? Have you got actually a course provider where you're getting genuine value? By the way, there's plenty of great ones out there. If you're interested in me personally training you, put education in the comments and I'll direct you to my Instagram, and actually I'll put it right here. It's Jamie York Aspire. Head over there now, send me a DM and we can chat about it. And of course, it's going to depend on if you've got mentoring that's giving you that more bespoke one-to-one guidance through a mastermind setting. But in general, here's what you can expect. The first 3 months, big fat zero. You won't make a penny. And so you need to prepare for that. So if you've got a job, don't quit your job if you need the money for it. Okay? Once you're investing in this, after the first 3 months of really getting your education and understand these processes, you will start getting maybe a deal a month into legals. That typically represents about £5,000. But you've not got the money there. The money really will start dropping in, I would say, within about 90 days of that. So you've got your full education, and within 90 days, so let's say up to 6 months for the money to start landing in your bank. And I think a deal a month to 2 deals a month within that is quite practical. Okay, and as long as you're dedicating more time to this, it then builds up. So 1 deal a month is going to make you 5 grand. By the end of the year, that's 30 grand because you've only got 6 monetized months. But you're probably going to start building up. So I'd say for your first year in deal packaging, anything between 30 and 100,000 pounds is perfectly reasonable, subject to your education, mentoring, etc., and how aggressively you're throwing yourself at this. Let's be reasonable. If somebody's got 10 hours and somebody's got 30 hours and they're putting in the same level of intelligence, discipline and action, the person with 30 hours are likely going to get better results. In year 2, I think you're really starting to get those 6-figure years. And it's perfectly feasible for you to build a 7-figure a year business in less than a decade. The reason I can say that with confidence is that's exactly what I've done. So that's the end-to-end process. And I really hope it's added value to you. You know, I really like to give back as much as possible. Let me know what you thought of this in the comments, but if you follow this all the way through and you consistently turn up, now I get there's bits missing like the script and things like that. We've only got a certain amount of time in this video, but if you implement this and constantly turn up and take action, you will get results. So for those of you that are interested in the hands-free portfolio building service, we're going to put APG in the comments and I'll get back to you with how you can get involved in that. And of course, if any of you actually want to invest in yourself and you think I might be the right trainer for you, put education in the comments so we can have a chat. And for the rest of you, I just hope you got amazing value from this video. And if you're interested in finding out more about property investment, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe and the notification bell. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.